Funny is a very relative term. There's people who they have a very poor sense of humor. Oh, I don't laugh easily. Well, that's sad, my friend. So it is physical, it is psychological, and it's emotional. God made me laugh. Welcome to the first episode of God Made Me Laugh. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, I never thought that I will be doing a podcast, but this gives me radio flashbacks. Oh, yes. I used to work in radio, and that actually was my first job. And it was long ago. So long that when we were taping back then, it was taping. You will record on this plastic thing that will go around, and then if you have to make cuts, you will cut it with a knife, you put it together, and you will put tape on it. So we were actually taping. Then we saw the computers come in, and it was like very interesting. One of the big differences about podcasting is that in radio, the console is like a spaceship. You have like the whole table, you're surrounded by all these machines and all that kind of stuff. For podcasting, the box is like this. It's like that tiny thing. But when you're in radio, one of the interesting things is that while you're talking to yourself, because you don't know if somebody's listening, every now and then you will receive phone calls. The phone calls were great. The phone calls were fantastic. One of the best things about the experience is that people will call and they will ask for a song. Of course, they will ask you like, Ivan, can you play a song for me? And you go like, oh, of course. What's the name of the song? I'll play it for you. I don't remember the name of the song. Not a problem. Who sings the song? I don't remember who sings the song. Not a problem. Do you remember the lyrics? Do you remember how it goes? And no, I don't remember. I'm like, okay. So, is this song is a slow song? Is this a fast song? Do you have an idea? No, but I will really appreciate if you play the song for me. It's like, not a problem. If I find it, I'll play it for you, my friend. I'm like more than willing to do that. So the thing is that it was funny when people realized that you are not, or you don't look like they think you look by just listening to you. Now, I had the experience. Somebody came to the station looking for Ivan, and I said, "I'm Ivan." And they looked at me like, "No, seriously, where is Ivan?" It's like that. I'm Ivan. It's like, no, it cannot be. You cannot be Ivan. Like back then, I was 115 pounds, and they thought that I was 6 feet tall and 200 pounds just because of my voice. So I was like, no, I'm Ivan. And they was like, well, you definitely have the face for radio. So it was interesting. It was a great job. Now, the most interesting part, and I tell you this, God made me laugh because the whole thing started as a joke. I was emceeing an event, and I said, well, I'm going to introduce the next act, but I want to introduce it like they do in radio because that makes it cooler, And so I was making a little bit of a fuss about presenting my friends who were coming to sing, and I said, okay, let me do it like they do in radio. And if you ever have been in contact with Hispanic radio, we are very hyped. We like to take things to the next level. So I said, buenas noches, Puerto Rico. Bienvenidos a nuestro gran evento. Ahora con ustedes. And then introduced my friends who were coming to sing. And the general manager of a radio station that was right in my hometown was there. And he approached me and said, do you really want to do radio? Come. We're going to train you. We have spot for you. And that's how I started. That's how I started doing radio. And at that moment, that opened a lot of doors for emceeing in other events. I was in concerts, I was in schools, universities, corporate events, all kinds of stuff. I was everywhere, and ended up doing stand-up comedy, which I don't do now because I'm serious now. I don't do that anymore. So I started doing stand-up comedy. In the process, I graduated from a bachelor's in humanities in fine arts and started doing graphic design. I'm working designing announcements for a newspaper, and we did a little bit of marketing. It was like all these things happening at the same time, a little bit of TV, going back and forth, doing radio announcement. And all of a sudden, we moved to New York from Puerto Rico. My first job in New York, I was the manager of a medical office. And not any medical office. I was the manager of an OBGYN office. If you know what that is, you will understand that I am still having nightmares and I probably need therapy for everything that I heard and saw on that office. But the thing is that I get to learn all these things in the medical office, but for me, it was very confusing. I thought that it was a glitch in the system. I thought that something that's not fitting, was not matching. I mean, all this history of the stand-up and the radio and the TV and emceeing, and then all of a sudden I'm in the medical office, have to wear a tie, I have to work with patients. It was very weird for me. It's like when you have all these pieces of a puzzle all over the table, and they don't fit, they don't match, and it's very weird, and it was confusing. It was a very confusing time, but I learned a lot. It was good. I learned a lot, but it was very, very difficult for me to figure out or understand, why am I doing this? Why? So the thing is that while I'm there, I decided to go back to school. I finished my master's in education. I go straight to teaching, and at the same time, I'm doing my PhD in education, also in instructional design, which I like to call applied learning psychology. So now I'm teaching. I was able to start an art career. I was doing art full time for a while, and then I get to start teaching in a university. So I'm teaching in this university for a program that used to be cool, and then I get into another program. Now, you go from stand-up comedy to professor. Well, for me, that's the next logical step. You do comedy, you teach. But we will talk about that another day. So the thing is that things start making sense. I'm teaching, but I landed in a program for the School of Health Sciences, which is another moment where I'm like, wait, what? I'm teaching in the School of Health Sciences, which didn't make much more sense to me either. But then, in a very interesting turn of events, God calls my wife to open her private practice. She's a physician, and she opens her own office. And guess who became the manager of that office? Correct! You got it! Yes, perfect. Good guess. Yes, I started applying everything that I thought it was a glitch in the system 20 years ago. I started applying it in the medical office. Now, and I want to take a little pause to thank Gina Healing and Wellness Center for being the sponsor of this episode of God Make Me Laugh. Now, God did make me laugh. What didn't make sense 20 years ago, now it does. Now it makes sense. Somehow, all those pieces that had no reference, that were so unfitting for each other, now they totally make sense. And now I can look back and I can laugh. Laughing is an automatic response that combines your body, your mind, and your emotions. Now, this is cool because you don't plan to laugh. It's not like, oh wait, that was funny. Let me laugh. No, you laugh. It's part of who we are. It's the way that we've been designed. We laugh at things, and not because something is necessarily funny. Funny is a very relative term. You can say something in one place, people laugh. You say the same thing in another place, people don't laugh. Well, problem not me, problem the people. I just said the same thing. And then you have people, and this is kind of sad. So let me do the sad voice because I'm supposed to do inflections whenever I'm trying to be a little more serious. There's people out there, maybe you're one of them, who brag about not having a sense of humor. Maybe you're one of those who ask Siri why nobody wants to hang out with you. And Siri asks you to take a selfie. You see, being funny or not is not the point about laughing. Laughing is the automatic response. You can laugh because you're happy or you are joyful or something gives you a surprise. It was not the ending that you were expecting, which is the magic of comedy, that you are not expecting the punchline. But also, laughing is a response to something that is ironic, something that can produce in you cynicism, something that can produce in you unbelief or fear. Now, there's a story in the Bible about Abraham and Sarah where God tells them that they're going to have a child, and they're very old. And if you know anything about biology, there's a moment in life where you're not capable. So when God gives the announcement, Sarah is listening and she starts laughing. Nothing made sense at that point. It's very confusing. It's like, wait a second, I'm old, this guy is old, and we're going to have a child. So the thing is that we live our lives surrounded by those moments. We have a lot of moments in life where things that happen to us, and maybe you're in one of those moments. Maybe you are right now trying to figure out what is going on. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Where do I have to go? Am I going to become what? What is going on? And in those moments, you might laugh at it. Or you might have to wait until everything unfolds, until the big picture comes together. Those pieces automatically fit, and God makes you laugh. Hey, thank you for hanging with me. Don't forget to share and subscribe and to leave your comments. I'll see you next time.